I'd like to thank the organizers for starting this whole effort. It's quite encouraging to see so many people in an auditorium that's not showing feature films. This film, Narayan Gangaram Surve, is a film that I've been wanting to make for a long time. And the idea was, I had made earlier films on other art forms like music and painting, but poetry was extremely challenging. Because what is it that you're doing? It's something that's moving in time, has its own language, so you can't add anything to what the poet has said. I think the only way we felt one could, Shanta Gokhale had done the script, we could work on this was to find tangential references. And fortunately for us, Narayan Surve was still around when the film was being made. And Narayan Surve, apart from being a great poet, is an extremely musical person, as you'll see in the film. So it was actually negotiating between film, poetry, and music of the spoken word. So we had to respect the musicality of the spoken word and its quality of generating images in your mind. So that was the effort, and to search through images, or whether one could understand the poetry a little better for oneself, if not necessarily for the audience. So this is the prelude. You see the film. Thank you very much.
A few things I know about her was it was a proposal that Anjali gave to Films Division, and it was based on research that she had done and her personal interest in the poet Mirabai. Now, Films Division has certain rules, certain norms. So it was to be shot on 35mm film with a 1:3 ratio. That means for half an hour, which was the finished length of the film, there was 1.5 hours of 35mm raw stock that was available. She was the outside director, but she had to work technically with a Films Division crew. The person who did the location sound was a Films Division staff member, but the rest of the crew was not. And I think there was a curious story about how the cameraman who was assigned by Films Division, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Anjali will correct me, he had his daughter's 10th standard exam or something like that. So Anjali was allowed to get a cameraman from outside, and so Mrinal Desai was asked to shoot it. And as for the editing, this brand new Avid at Films Division, wonderful machine, top of the line at that time. They had not had any training in it. So none of the staff members were officially allowed to operate that machine, since they had not officially been trained to do so. So I came to be the editor of the film. I worked very closely with a very sweet, wonderful man at Films Division who was in charge of the machine and who was there throughout, who would otherwise possibly have been the editor, but he couldn't be because he was, for technical reasons. But so we made the film like that, and of course because of this restriction of a 1:3 ratio, which is, I don't know, unheard of for a documentary for all of us. 1.5 hours, and that's it. After that, the cans are over. Like you're in Rajasthan, you're shooting, and you just have no more, footage. You can't expose. It's not like the way we go and keep putting in cards and keep copying onto tapes and onto discs. So it had to be very carefully planned. So it involved going on a recce, doing research, pegging, deciding who you're going to speak to, having a fair idea of what they are going to say to you when you go and talk to them. Of course, within that, it's not as if everything is pre-planned and pre-scripted and you go there and you just find it and you shoot it. It's not like that. So within that, the sequences within the film, they had to be constructed just like you construct any other documentary. You got the material and we decided how to work it, what are the rhythms. There was this restriction of how much the material itself will allow us to do. So we played around with all that, and I think that my point, this film, it was trying to say many things. There's a lot of complicated ideas, including some personal emotions, Mirabai's poems which had to be represented, history, feminist thought, many different layers of ideas, of also representing a place, a culture. Many things had to be done in the space of half an hour. The second film, Narayan Surve, I had nothing to do with the making, of course, as the credits show. But I kind of watched from the sidelines because I know the makers very well. Shanta Gokhale is my mother-in-law. She scripted the film. So I watched from the sidelines and I saw the kind of conflict that a scriptwriter feels. Of course, you write something. You imagine it in your head as one thing. But it doesn't get represented that way naturally because, a director takes it over and interprets it and shoots it. And there is the reality of what they do shoot and what they decide not to shoot and how it is put together. So I saw that play out and I found it very interesting that, some of the sequences which she was the least happy with seemed to be the most effective actually in the film. I think she really didn't care for the butcher scene. I remember she said, they've taken all these shots of this meat being cut and I don't know what they're going to do with them. But of course, it's extremely powerful in the film. So these are my thoughts about these two films which made me put them together and present them to you. I hope that it's been enjoyable.